Good. Hello, everyone. Good. Hey, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see you. I see familiar faces. And everyone, welcome to another exciting session on the Teams and Culture stage, which is proudly powered by Women in Data. In travel, specifically today, we're going to talk about that. In travel, every second counts. Today's brilliant panelist will talk about how real-time analytics help teams act faster, smarter, and with greater impact. So without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce our speakers. Spencer Jaffe, Senior Director of Analytics and Data Science at Amex. Spencer, can you say hi? Good.
Sorry.
Then we have, of course, Dominic Hudgin, Head of VI Development at Manchester Airport Group.
Hi, everyone.
And we have Therese Nebuloni, Principal Statistician at Expedia Group.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, guiding the conversation today is our incredible moderator, David Keynes, Vice President of Solutions EMEA at Acxiom. So without further ado, handing over to you, David.
Thank you. I'm just going to start with a quick show of hands. Who works in the travel industry who's in the audience? So that's probably around a third. Who considers themselves to be a consumer of the travel industry? So you've been on a bus, you've been on a plane. So that's everybody, hopefully. You got here somehow, maybe you walked. And for those, keep your hands up if you're a consumer of the travel industry. How many of you, keep your hand raised if you've had an issue with travel at any time? You've been stuck in a traffic jam, your flight's been delayed. Everybody, right? Okay, hands down. That's enough for the audience participation for today. So one of the things that I think is really interesting about the travel industry, the use of data and analytics, its ability to make decisions, is that often in travel you have to do that in the moment. It has to be done right when the traveler, when the consumer, or when the situation arises. Like, it could be bad weather, it could be a cyber attack, not that those ever happen. And that's when the ability to leverage data is really crucial. And the culture of our teams and our organizations to be able to use data really comes to the fore. So there's some of the themes we're going to touch on in the discussion today. We might have time for one or two questions at the end, seeing how we get through the time today. So if you do have a question, kind of keep it in mind, and we'll see if we have time at the end for that too. But I'm going to ask each of the panelists to take about 30 seconds just to introduce themselves briefly. So Teresa, starting with you.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Teresa. I am a principal statistician at the Expedia Group in the experimentation science team. So every change we do on our website is tested. And this means from the color of a book now button and has an hypothesis on it. And what my team do is define how the results of this test needs to be interpreted and what actually works or doesn't work.
Hi everyone. I'm Dominic Hodgin. I'm Head of BI Development at Manchester Airport Group. So we're a group of 3 airports, Manchester, East Midlands and Stansted. And as a BI function, we look after every touch point of data throughout the passenger journey, from arriving through check-in security, retail, aviation. All those areas generate data, and we look after basically the BI flow for the airport group.
Thanks, Dominic. And Spencer?
Hi, I'm Spencer Jaffe. I'm part of Amex GBT. I look after the internal reporting and data enablement space, making sure that we have the right data available to kind of empower the rest of the data science teams and analytics teams to do their jobs.
Thank you. So starting with you, Spencer, I kind of mentioned how there's no second chances really when it comes to using data within the travel experience for a consumer. And that can extrapolate across the whole organization in terms of making decisions at the right moment with the right data available. In your kind of work life, what's been probably one of the most challenging times when that's come to the fore? And how at American Express Travel Services did you approach resolving that?
So I think having data availability is critical. Making sure that you have the data to expose it to the right time at the right place. I think also knowing the persona of the person that you want to expose that data to, because different personas will take that data and information differently, whether it's a travel manager wanting to know who's impacted by a travel disruption, or if you're a traveler knowing how to alter your travel plans to make sure that you can get to the right place. So I think those are two components to it, but then also like challenges in making sure you don't overload the consumer too on too much information at the right time, and making sure that you're moderating the amount of information that you are sending so it doesn't become kind of common knowledge and it's more critical at the right time. You got to keep the relevancy.
And what you said, it reminded me of an old information systems kind of motto of information is data plus context. Without knowing the context of how that data is going to be used, it's not as valuable at all, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And you have to make sure that you're pushing the data to the right place so they are receiving the data appropriately. So.
And Dominic, how about for you? What's one of the most difficult things you've had to overcome at work when it comes to getting data in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, sure. If you think of an airport, we're a service provider to passengers. We know the flight plan, we know how many people are going to be on an aircraft by the aircraft size. Traditionally, we'd look at overnight batch reporting and we'd get those plans for the day and set out those plans and objectives for the day. As good as your plan can be, that will change. So we've seen a real shift in data demand from that batch overnight processing to real-time, in-the-moment decisions and in real-time data feeds. So we can actually make decisions on the day when things happen or when things don't happen. So it might be outside of our control, as you mentioned, motorway delays and traffic jams. Our airports sit on motorway networks, they sit on rail networks. If we can partner with some of our external companies like Highways Agency to understand what the flow on the M25 or the M11 or the M56 is like, we can then bring that into our on-the-day models. And actually, if we see a build-up of traffic, can we change our staffing plans to react to that ahead of before it becomes an issue? So the switch for us has been from that overnight batch reporting, that sort of traditional BI/MI world, into more real-time data and analytics, and then using that on the day to make decisions.
And have you found that, so is doing something in real time, doing your overnight batch, just faster and faster and faster, or have you had to look at different ways of solving the problem?
Yeah, we typically align our batch feeds now. We don't really use a batch and a real-time feed. The real-time feed now is the batch. So as that builds up over the day, then you're using the same data source, the same data. You're not rerunning and putting stress on that system. So we've actually changed our methodology for integrating our real time and our batch into sort of one single load. So it has made efficiencies in that area. We still do have the overnight, obviously, with some data feeds. But as a business, we're looking at what was acceptable a few years ago. Business operations, they want real time analytics and real time data so they can make decisions on the day. We're now reviewing all of our products and services to understand how we can get data. To your point, how can you get that data quicker to the right people in the right time so they can make those decisions. But yeah, it has affected our batch and real time. We sort of don't use the term batch and real time as much now. It's really the data feed rather than that's the batch feed and that's the real time. So they sort of merged a little bit.
And Teresa, how about you at Expedia?
So it's actually an example similar to what Dominic has described in experimentation. So when you make a change on the website, usually you wait one day to get the first data out via batch. But this can be really problematic sometimes if your feature has a gigantic problem. Let's say it slows down your website by 10 seconds every time it loads, or maybe you wanted to change the background from white to pink, but it became black. If you wait one day to notice this type of change, can be really damaging for the business. So far, everything in experimentation has been done with batch data, but recently we started introducing near real-time data to monitor big degradation very quickly, within 5 minutes. So we started to receive information quicker, so we can then apply the relevant technique to evaluate it and analyze it, and immediately pick up large degradation and stop them from our website.
Thank you. And staying with you, Teresa, we've seen a lot of change driven by technology. Every single year it comes through, there's something new, whether it's AI technologies, data warehousing technologies. A lot of that depends on how the culture within the organization and within our teams can both adopt technology, but also, I suppose, educate within our organizations, whether it's literacy on how data is used and how to interpret it, or whether it's really understanding that AI isn't just one thing. We've been doing machine learning for years. It's in some ways a bit of marketing hype around technologies which have existed for a long time, but there is new stuff there that we've never been able to do before as well. how within Expedia has the culture either been already in place or had to change?
Such a very interesting question. In terms of data literacy, Expedia has been always very good. Most of the decision, if not all the decision, were taken looking at the data. What I think is interesting is how Expedia approached the new AI. Around 1.5 years ago, we started to be trained on how leverage AI for, of course, improve productivity. You might have seen other talks saying that most companies are doing that. But what is now happening at Expedia is interesting because everyone at Expedia has a goal on AI, from the CEO to the leadership team to the first entry-level person that joined yesterday. All of us has a goal on AI, which gets tracked and monitored. And usually the goal is chosen to be relevant to your position. And this forces you in a very nice way to get familiar with this technology and start to use and apply on your day-to-day work. So I think it's a very great initiative that we're having at the moment.
Cool, thank you. And Dominic?
Yeah, sure. We use training and learning in different ways. So with MAG, we partner with Multiverse, who are an apprenticeship data apprenticeship provider. We've partnered with them for the last 3 years, and so with that we can offer some of our analytics teams, finance teams, a year apprenticeship to go and actually upskill themselves and get that data literacy level up within the business. When we think about operational reporting, a year apprenticeship isn't going to be ideal for someone that's working in security. So what we'll do then, when we're delivering new features, functions, reports, we'll partner with the business. We'll bring them along on the journey. We deliver in an agile way where we'll partner with them, deliver it in small iterations, upskilling them, training them on that delivery. When we get to roll it out to the wider team, we'll use change management and bring them on board and really sort of demonstrate how they can use the reporting in their everyday life, and then create that feedback loop so we can further improve it. So really partnering with the business to upskill them, and data apprenticeships have been key for us. Real success there.
Thank you. And Spencer, how about American Express Travel Services?
Yeah, very similar to what was just said about making sure that we're bringing our stakeholders along the journey of our AI experience. And as we develop new AI technologies, whether it's being chatbots within dashboards or new machine learning models, all these types of kind of progressive AI techniques, we'll go and do training sessions with our stakeholders, making sure that they understand what they're consuming, making sure that it's still relevant without overloading and kind of overwhelming them for consuming the new data. So yeah, it's an evolution, and different teams are at different kind of scales of this data literacy as far as understanding it goes, and so you just have to kind of adjust your approach to different ways of in each of the teams.
Yeah, I think part of the complexity is making sure that there's an understanding of what the tools, especially new tools, are good for, yep, and what they're not as good for. And I think especially when there's a overlap in tools that you might use as a regular human being, a consumer. We've probably all been on ChatGPT and done a query, and if that gets it wrong, it's often not that important. But if you're doing it in a critical kind of work situation, the impact can be very different. But it feels like you're familiar with it because it's the same tool, and that can lead to sometimes maybe a false expectation that this is ready for use. We should be using this tooling today. Thank you. Got a difficult question for each of you now because I'm going to kind of constrain your answer down. So try to stick to 10 words or less, but I won't count, so don't worry. What do you feel today is the most important thing that's impacting the travel sector as an industry when it comes to how kind of better use of large amounts of data or analytics or new tooling can have a real impact? Maybe not just on your business, but a wider impact could be considered as well. There's so much going on in the world today, so.
I think to your the answer is in your question itself. I think there's so much data already in the travel space that you have to start picking and choosing what data is still relevant at the right time, and start exposing that and being more proactive about pushing data to the right persona, and not overloading it, so that way all that push of data becomes reactive at that point. There's a fine balance between how much. Oh, sorry. There's more than 10 words.
Finish your thought, though. Finish your thought.
There's more data to be pushed out, and so there's a balance between how much you can consume and then actually how much you can actually produce. But
So getting that balance right between
yes.
how much you push and how much is there for people to query and dive into.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Dominic.
Yeah, for us in the airport industry, I think some of the challenges are one about the real-time data and making those real-time decisions to help on the day performance. But as an industry, we partner a lot with other airports, both Europe-wide and worldwide. And data sharing between airports, I think, can really drive efficiencies. We don't necessarily know who's going to come and land at an airport. If they need special assistance, we won't know that necessarily until they've landed. So if we can get that ahead of time, then it makes that, from a passenger experience, a better experience for them. So I think data sharing, data availability, the timeliness of data are really key for us.
I suppose when it comes to data sharing, there's always that balance with governance and regulation.
Exactly.
And how many cookie banners do you need to accept to actually let the airport know that you're happy for it to know that you're traveling because the airline is sharing data or the train line is sharing data with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's the idea of sharing data, but then you're right about the governance around it, and then the legality of what you can share and to what level of detail you're allowed to share it. So yeah, that's a key point. But we're all trying to collaboratively work together for the passenger experience. Really, it's quite a good industry to work in for collaboration. But yeah, there's legal challenges as well.
Yeah. Thank you. And Teresa, the 10 words or less seems to have gone out
Yes,
the window.
I was going to say, actually, Untitled, just to expand a bit more. I think for us, is going to be provide our user, our customer, with a very seamless interaction when they come with us with very articulated searches. I want to travel from London to San Francisco, not stopping in Boston, but with a flight that can be upgraded, and try to take all this amount of information and provide them with a quick journey that they can book straight away without having to click too many buttons. And I think this is where we are going in terms of direction, so we need to be proactive and try to reply to this type of question in an easy way.
Cool. Thank you. We have time for one or two questions from the audience, so if there are any, if you could raise your hand, and I've got somebody with a microphone. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all for the discussion. My question was, do you feel there is enough data out there for the consumer and the traveller? The impact or the thought I had just while listening to you was cancelled flights, cancelled holidays, it's sort of a fight or flight panic with passengers when they don't know, do we get a hotel, next available flight? Is there anything that you could think that would be beneficial to passengers when that happens within your respective departments and companies?
Okay, so I'm going to start with Teresa, since there was a booking element there and that moment of panic when you found a cheap flight and now you need a hotel and you need to get to the airport and all those things.
Yes, I think there is data. Sometimes the data is not well connected, maybe. So maybe our customer service knows all the data points, but then the data might not be shared as efficiently, I would say. So from my standpoint, maybe there is, but maybe we need to have a way to share it a bit better in different systems to help the users.
And I think maybe more in the business travel space though, but American Express, what's the view there?
So yeah, to Teresa's point, I think there's plenty of data available, and it's just getting access to the right data at the right time and being able to know where to find the data. I think is the most important thing is, going to the right spot to be able to pull the information and be able to handle it that way. But, yeah, I think it's the data availability.
I think maybe my thought on it as well is, if the data is available and all the governance and everything else is in place to use it, what's the experience the consumer has of actually interacting with that? Even today with modern booking tools, it still feels quite a linear process, and a process where you've got to really trust the brand that you're engaging with at that time, whether it's a travel agent brand or going direct to an airline. And I don't know, in my personal experience, I'm always feeling like, am I getting the best deal? Or do I still need to go and check 3 other airlines and 2 other travel agents to know that I'm getting the best deal? So I think that's part of the challenge for me, is even if a particular brand has all the data, is there the right level of consumer experience and consumer trust too? Is that okay? Do we have time for one more question? Sorry, the gentleman there was very quick with a hand.
It's a really short and quick question. In each of your area, do you have an idea of insights that you can share with us related to the real-time analytics? Like, it's something really blurry, but I would like to have a real use case of insight that come with it.
So a specific use case for real-time analytics?
KPI insights that can come from real-time analytics.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's start, Dominic, with you. So what's a specific insight, an example of a use case where real-time analytics has really played a part at MAG?
Yeah, sure. Really part of our planning function. So we're looking at real-time analytics to inform better decisions on the day about staffing, which is one. We're looking at it for, not launched yet, but partnering with AWS on how we turn an aircraft around. So all the services that happen to an aircraft when it comes onto stands, people get off, people get on, you've got fuel, you've got services, you've got rubbish. We're looking at AI models to capture those data points so that we can then become more efficient in the AI, in turning around the aircraft using an AI model to predict that. And the idea of that is that when something isn't happening, you can detect what's not happening and react to it. So it's again driving efficiencies. So there's several projects we're looking at the moment. Some are still in flight. We're using, there's quite a few use cases for us on real time or on the day decisioning. It's quite strong at the moment. It's quite a good theme at MAG.
So just follow up on that. How does on the day staffing work? So people might not find out what shift they're on until close to the time?
The shifts will be set, but there's flexibility in the shifts. It might be that there's been a slow up in the flow of passengers because of delays for whatever reason. So it might be they can shift people's breaks around in security and things like that. Open and close a lane to slow or speed up the flow of passengers for security. So there is some flexibility. It's not about putting somebody on a totally different shift. It's about being flexible within that window.
Okay. So almost like decisioning around shifting breaks away from busy periods if you see an influx of passengers. That sounds really. I like that. Teresa.
So going back to the example I was giving, there was a feature that was changing one of our pages that caused 10 seconds for a page to load. And this was realized within the first hour of this feature being tested, with only 25% of the traffic was exposed to this feature. So we stopped straight away. But when they started to quantify the potential damage to the business that this would have had, if we would have let it go, was on a scale of $1 million. So having the ability to evaluate the data quickly, within a few minutes or within an hour, that really helped the business for us.
So we've got reacting to UI changes.
Yes, a bug that was inserted in one of our features that was detected very quickly thanks to the ability to evaluate the results within minutes.
Cool. And we had reacting to in-airport operational challenges. What about from you? What real-time example do you have?
So I'll take the travel disruption example, where if there is some kind of disruption, whether it's weather, flight gets diverted, a travel manager who's managing the program or who needs to know where all their employees are at any particular time has to come onto our site to determine who's impacted by this change, who's impacted by the weather, so they can help support them and kind of redirect them or find logical kind of solutions for it. So having the ability in real time to see impacts of travel disruption is super critical for TMC.
So is there an expectation you're setting with me that the next time I'm traveling and I've booked through American Express, if my connecting flight's delayed, that somebody's going to phone me up and tell me that they've already sorted the problem out?
There's, I can't commit to that, but there's leeway in how much is actually acceptable versus natural disruption that's requiring major changes.
Cool, thank you. I think that's about the time we have today, so I'd like to wrap up there. And in terms of just kind of drawing together some of those thoughts, we have some real examples there of how real-time data analytics has been applied in the moment across different stages of that travel journey. And I really like some of the points around adopting technology and data literacy within the organization. Like the example at Expedia of it being a top-down mandate to have those training objectives everywhere from the top of the organization right the way down through. but also other programs like at MAG, the apprenticeship programs as well, I think are really useful. And I think my one takeaway from using data in real time is that often the data is out there in terms of it's available if you connect either in your own systems or through partners. There's so many technology companies out there today that have options to support that. But the main thing is to pin on those use cases that are achievable quickly, making sure you've got that roadmap that gets people on board early on to how data can be used in real time. The example there of not thinking about real-time data and batch data as two different things anymore. It's just data and feeds of data into our system, and you can't just go real-time by turning that batch handle more quickly, I think is an important thought. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming. I'm going to hand back over to Women in Data, but if you'd like to give all the panelists a round of applause, thank you.
Such a great moderator. He can do it all. So thank you, David. Thank you, all of you, to be here. It's been an amazing session. I'm sure there are many questions. You can also attend our lounge, which is next there. And you can make sure to talk with our panelists. They'll be there. But thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you in the next session. Thank you, guys.